Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And again, I'm Warren Davis. This is a beautiful Monday evening, at least out where I'm at, and it's right at 5 o'clock hour. We're here on Monday, the 9th of September, 2019. And I want to make sure that all of you can hopefully see my screen and that you can hear my voice okay. Um, you should be able to see that I have your basically a diagram up here of all of the fancy capability of the Investment Dominator. You see your company, county data, offer request, etc. So if you can see my screen and you can hear me okay, appreciate someone saying, yep, you can see me, and you can you can see my screen and you can hear me okay. Okay, thank you, Art. Appreciate that. Okay, we know we're coming through loud and clear. Ah, yes. Thank you, all of you that know that sent those responses. I've got quite a few new people on the line with us today. That is fantastic. I always like to have someone that is basically just starting with Investment Dominator get on these calls. That's what the calls are really for, to support you as you move forward in your businesses. So as we are going to get started with our questions today, you can see my screen. You see all the capabilities of Investment Dominator. Those of you that are brand new, we want to make sure that you know how to answer, or put in your questions. There should be a control box on your screen on your side, and you can just simply type in your questions. Don't worry about raising the hand because a lot of times I don't see that, but I will at least see your questions pop up. And there's many of you on the call today, which I'm really glad about. So I'm thinking we're going to get some pretty good questions for this call. But just simply type in your questions, hit the send, and the question or the comment will come to me. And for those of you who are new, it would really help me to be able to distinguish between a question and a comment by either you putting a question mark in front of your question or actually type out the word question. So I know that that's a question and it's not merely a comment, which I appreciate the comments as well. So thankful that all of you are here, and we're going to get right into answering your questions right after I share a few housekeeping things. That We have another 2-day event coming up, as most of you are aware. Some of you are going to be at that actual 2-day event on the 26th and 27th, and I will have the pleasure of getting to meet you in person. And I've been on calls with several of our new students with Investment Dominator, and it's really been great talking with you all. Just want to make sure you remember the big three that we want to have you complete before you get to the Investment Dominator 2-day workshop. And that is, of course, filling out your customer information, or should say your company information, and any phone systems that you have set up, put that in your company information, as well as completing your signature that has to be in the Investment Dominator, so that when we do send out correspondence at the actual event, they will be found. They will have your signature on there. So let me open up this. So that's under my profile, of course, and you create signature. And then for the company part is under company information, if you could have that completed. And of course, the last two big items, or number 3, is really setting up your selling and your buying sites. So if you could remember to do that, that would be very much appreciated. One more thing I would like to mention in terms of just as an inform, and also so that you know that I'm not really trying to be antisocial or anything like that. Some have been reaching out to me via Facebook. We do have a Facebook presence. It's mainly where we market a lot of our properties on Facebook Marketplace, and so we receive a lot of our calls from buyers, or people that are interested in land. And so I have noticed, and my wife has noticed that there's some questions that are coming through actually on Facebook, regarding either a land process or something to do with the Investment Dominator. And I just want you to know upfront, I'm not trying to be antisocial and not address those questions, but it's just that I don't use that as a forum to answer questions. So if I haven't responded back, I just found out about this this morning that there were actually correspondence coming through the Facebook. Just want you to know that this is pretty much dedicated to our land sales or those that are interested in purchasing property from us. That's how we use our Facebook. We don't use it in the traditional sense of the way a lot of people use Facebook to correspond and you know uh, go back and forth with each other. It's just too many people that I couldn't keep up with it all. I don't spend that much time on Facebook. That's mostly for when we sell property. And speaking of which, I'll get a chance to hopefully before the end of the call tell you about a deal that we just got done completing, where we did a self close, and we haven't done many of those, but we actually did a self close on a property. Made a nice profit on it, and saved the money on the in terms of the title company doing the work or our attorney doing the work. They charge us about a little over $700 to close on properties, and we did the title work or the self close probably for about 380 $390, which of course saves a little cash. So anyway, I get hopefully get a chance to tell you about that. Do we teach a class on Facebook Marketplace? No, we do not. Gene, sorry about that. Um, it there is a lot of things that you could really learn on regarding Facebook Marketplace. Um, and oh, Don says my audio is cutting out some. Sorry about that. I hope it's not on my end. Audio is cutting out. Okay, thank you, Brian. So my indicators are showing that it's pretty strong, and I'm always pay attention to that when my students say something about the uh, the audio, because we sometimes do have. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody. We we sometimes do have issues with Cox being around, Cox Communications. Um, so I'm just writing down our very first question we had was from Gene there on teaching a class on Facebook Marketplace. And Gene, I don't really know who does teach a class on Facebook Marketplace. I don't think, other than what you might get at a live event, where some of the coaches, a lot of the coaches that use Facebook, we can come up and give comment on it and kind of give you some guidelines on how to use it effectively. But it's just a large part of our sales actually do come through Facebook Marketplace, just coincidentally. So we're going to get right into finishing up some of our questions that we had from last Thursday. And so I see there are some questions already starting to come in, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. Thankful for all of you that are here. There's quite a few of you on the call today, which is great. So if you remember on Thursday, we were talking about on one of your sites, it should actually be I believe it is your buying site. Yes, where a customer comes in. Now, this is someone that actually wants to sell you their property. And so they come in and they actually select this link here, select land, sell your land for cash. And so the customer will click on that, and up will jump this box here. And remember, if we filled out some information, we put it on here, and we had a phone number. Just want to show you what the customer sees and then how it actually gets put into your system. it will get put into your Investment Dominator. So if they come onto your site, they say they want to sell you their land, and they put in what they think is the reference number on a particular place where they want to actually sell you a piece of land, and then they click next. Notice that Investment Dominator catches that, especially when it's under a particular, it's mostly looking at the reference number to see if that is correct. But Investment Dominator does evaluate this information. It says, please review the information you entered and check it against the letter we sent you. If you did not receive a letter from us regarding your property, please leave the optional reference number field blank. So they're saying, hey, you didn't give us the right reference number, so we basically can't let you in to actually put in your order for what they would be actually offering you or asking you for is an offer on their property. And so said we'll go to another Charles Allens Jones, and we'll see, because Investment Dominator is checking all of this information. And just wanted those of you that haven't seen this yet, just want to let you know. So here we go with a reference, and voila, because that is information that Investment Dominator could evaluate and is actually correct. There's actually a reference number 147, and this person has a mailing address. They have some information that gets automatically populated. A lot of times they're not correct on the size of the property, so that's something you have to double check as you do your analysis, because remember, they're saying, I want to sell you my property, so basically I want you to send me an offer on this property. And so then they will come and answer a series of questions. None of these are really required per se, but the more information they fill out, the better it is for you. Are there power lines? And you might say, oh, within a quarter mile. Does the property have road access? And sometimes, where they're talking about legal and physical access, meaning there's actually a physical road. There's actually something on county. Usually it's a dirt road if it's like that, where they say legal and physical access. Could be a dirt road. Obviously, if it's paved, that's that's a regular road. Legal access only could mean that it's, they have an easement on file with the county saying that, this is how you would get to this property, some kind of property easement. Physical access means, again, could be just a dirt road, or it says, they have an actual easement that's on file with the county. So depending on what they fill out there, was inherited, and the value, and we might say 18,500. Is there anything else? Property is near a beautiful lake for fishing. Okay. So, and notice it says finishing the offer request. So that's exactly what's going to happen. And that's what I wanted to point out to you mainly in this demonstration or this demo, is that when, fill out to request a cash offer. So it's saying fill out all required fields. Let's see, 7.5. Oh, okay. This is required here. Verify that the form is complete and correct to the best of my knowledge. So I guess that's the field that it wants them to check, which that is about the only thing left. So finish the offer request. And as you see, it then will communicate whatever your phone number is in your company address or your company information, and it then produces another reference number. So just want you to make sure that you see that. What happens is, if you go into your land deals, we should have a record for under, I would think it'd be preliminary research, pending preliminary research. Don't tell me it left it under, let's see. Let me do it the easy way here. Its name. And we said Charles Allen. Let's see here. Okay, there it is. Okay, under pending preliminary research, number 239. Must have missed it somehow. But the record that gets put into your system now under pending preliminary research. And remember, all of the pending preliminary research records are for you to do your analysis. You know, just your initial analysis, not a deep dive. Remember, you don't want to spend a lot of time doing your analysis until after you have received someone that says, "Hey, I accept your offer." So for you to do an initial analysis, you know, you want to make sure you put in the county assessed value and the market value. Those of you that have already been through this, just bear with us here. But you see, it puts in the caller's comments. So basically, that's how a seller of property will end up actually putting a record in your Investment Dominator for you to do analysis and actually send them an offer. Okay, let's keep moving on here. We have some questions that have already started coming in, and I'll see if I can get to them. The PDF version. Encoding. What? I had no idea. First mailing. Okay. All right. Turn out since the CSV. All right, we're going to look at some of these questions. Yeah, some of them are a little bit long here. Yes. Okay. Yes, Brian, we're going to, as a matter of fact, that's on my list of questions to handle today, how to remove the sell your house link. And that's a question that we have currently here, and I will show you how we're going to do that. Remember, on the My Sites, what Brian is speaking of, and I'm going to do this in just a couple of questions here on the buying site. How to sell your house fast, how to remove that link. I'm going to show you that shortly. So bear with us and we'll get that one handled. I want to make sure I got the questions from last week because one individual I had promised an answer to Carlos, and he said he's trying to input expenses on a house and did not find a way to do this in Investment Dominator. So expenses on a house deal, and was wondering anything that has to do with expenses, that's more of an accounting issue, not so much Investment Dominator. In fact, not at all Investment Dominator, not at this point anyway. He said this is the same situation in the land deals, that he hasn't done one yet, but there should be a way to do this. And he's asking, is that correct? And unfortunately, Carlos, at this time, not in the Investment Dominator. Expenses for any type of land transactions, expenses are done. You have to do them separately in some piece of software like QuickBooks, Certify. Real quick here, what I'll do is I did look up a few of them, and I'll give you guys the top 5 that I came up with. But unfortunately, we don't do that at this time in the Investment Dominator. So here's just a quick note here that I'm showing on the screen. So we have number 1, is QuickBooks, and 2, Certify. That's another, and we have 3, that is SUDI Expense. These are expense applications or software that will help you track any of your expenses. And basically, you would have to determine which one of these you go in and look at them. Oh, actually, I gave you 6 here. So here's your 6 that you can look at. And again, you can just look at this recording and you'll be able to see these that you can handle your expenses. So unfortunately, we can't track those in the Investment Dominator at this time, but there are some things coming about with Investment Dominator that has to do with like loan processing, which I'm excited about because we have a lot of deals that are the seller financing deals. So Investment Dominator in the future, I don't know when, is going to be able to handle and help us with our seller financing deals. That's good news. Because we can pay a service, to handle seller financing deals, but we're going to be able to have Investment Dominator help us. So it's coming. And Cesar and Shanda had asked a question on last Thursday. Wanted to make sure we covered that one as well, regarding order of properties on selling site. Okay. Just making sure I get these questions down here. And order of properties on selling site. And from what it looks like, or from the question, Cesar and Shanda had said, order of properties in selling site. I have 5 properties located together, but they had different property IDs and they are not featured together in my selling site. Okay, that's correct. Is there a way to group them together? That's a very good question. So if we came back to our land deals here and we were looking at those records that are in pending excuse me, that's incorrect. Not pending preliminary research, but complete ready to sell. Your records that are in complete ready to sell are the ones that are going to be marketed on your selling site. So what Cesar and Shanda are saying is that they have 5 of properties that are in complete ready to sell. They all have different ID numbers here. So obviously they are different. They are different APNs also, I'm pretty sure. For them to have different IDs, they have different APNs. So it's 5 separate properties, but these properties are physically located together. So 5 parcels. And so what they're asking is there a way to group them together on the listings? And unfortunately, that is not. What you would do is when you came in and hit your selling site, first after somebody typed in Jameson, let's say Nichols, and tell you guys are coming out with the questions today. That's really great. Okay, so once we opt in and they can see the deals, all right, this is where you would actually have to put some notation on your listings, your various listings, that basically would inform the user. Now, of course, this is a demo site, so please don't pay attention to the beauty or lack thereof of this site. It's just a demo site. But on your listing, you would reference, that you have this one parcel is for sale, and you might put the price of that parcel, and then you would list the other parcels, their APNs. It's located next to these other 4 parcels, and you could list the APNs and maybe the acreage of each of these parcels. And the way you would reference it on your listing is that you might provide a deep discount for those. Let me give you an example here. And you would word it however you like to word it. Now, just keep in mind, just kind of give you this as a quick example. All right. So something, I'm put this in my notes. You have different APNs here. So you have 5 different APNs, chances are they're all, they're obviously in the same county and they're right next to each other. So you would want to just reference these 5 parcels on your listing and just tell them, hey, you get a deep cash discount if you purchase 2 or more of these parcels together in the same transaction. Um, we've actually sold properties like that, especially where you have 2 smaller parcels and someone comes along and those 2 smaller parcels add up to a little over an acre. They get all excited about it and say, okay, we'll give you, if you buy them separately, they might be $10,000 each. But if you buy them together, we'll give them to you both for 16 grand. And I don't know how many times we've been able to sell properties that are right together. But that's the only way to group them together, or at least connect them together, feature them together on your listings. You have to control it on your listings. There's no way within Investment Dominator to put these records together or group them together. So I hope that gives a little insight, Cesar and Shonda, of how you're really going to handle that. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, I see Dean has a question here. Is there the investment donor? Is there any way to go back and find out what was the problem? What was the problem? I'm not clear, Dean, on when you speak of what was the problem, I'm not clear on what the problem was that you're asking about. So if you give me another little hint or clarification there, I'll be happy to get to that question. We do have back to Brian's question. Okay. All right, Dean. Let me get back to you on that one. Here's Brian's question regarding the. Let's see. Oh, removing on the site, on your buying site. Tell you, so many so many questions coming here at one time. Uh, this is great. It keeps us all learning. So Brian was wondering about this sell your land or sell your house fast. All right. Yes, how to remove that. It's pretty straightforward. Want to make sure everybody gets this, because it's something that individuals like to do just to keep their sites real clean. So if you go into customize here, and you're looking at your website buying, that's where that will be located. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to manage your buying site menu. That's where this is going to be housed. So you left click on that, select managing, and you see there's a section up here called not set. All right, so these are all the different menu options that are not currently set. But you see down here under header menu, we have sell your house. So all I'm going to do is left click with my mouse on top of that particular selection. I'm dragging it up to the not set. That's as simple as it is. And then you save it. Okay. And always make sure whenever you make changes to your site, just for clarity, come down and hit update site. Okay. To remove that, the link, and what we're doing is we're going to remove that. We're removing the link of the sell your house, anything that has to do doing with house. So if you come back to your sites now, go back to your buying site, get cash for your land, because you notice we just have land, and notice the sell your house fast is gone. And obviously, just the opposite. See, sell your house is there. So if I want to, include that, or if I want to have a website where I'm just selling my house and I want to remove the land, obviously this would be in the header menu. Click Save again, and update site. It's just that easy. So it's customized. It is the, oh no, you're just saying my screen. Um, you should just be seeing my screen. There's no questions for you to see. It's just for me. I can see the questions that come in, Michael. Um, so no, there's no questions. You're just looking at my screen. And the way I got into that was I went to customize, and so I left click on customize, and then I left click again on the selling website settings. Okay. And once I'm in website settings, after I've expanded that menu, it's manage your selling site menu. Okay. Okay. Get to, okay. Changing the sell your house link. Okay, I just have to always write down, the time and the question so I can do the timestamps. That's what I'm doing mainly when I'm kind of taking a little time out there. Okay, very good, Don. Glad you got that. And so then you come into the manage selling site menu and you can modify it. So again, you can always go back and watch these videos and just repeat the steps. So let's see. I want to get some of these questions here that are coming in. Sites only. Oh, okay. Okay, that's a good question. We have one question from David and Janice. David and Janice want to know why they do not see an opt-in page. Okay, this happens a lot, especially with some of the newer students with Investment Dominator. Under my sites, okay, there's one of two reasons why you wouldn't see an opt-in page listed. Usually, it depends if you don't have a certain version of Investment Dominator, which I think they only sell one version of Investment Dominator now. So all of you should be seeing the opt-in site, but it should be controlled on your selling site. Let's see. So you go into customize again, open up the website settings selling. Okay. And if you scroll down, once you've expanded the website settings, you see here where it says opt-in page. And the mind goes to this custom opt-in page that I created so that I would capture a person's name and email address. This is in this demo account. So a lot of times the reason people are not seeing that, David and Janice, is because theirs is marked at disable. If yours is marked disable, I'll do the update site. You'll notice then my site, you'll see the opt-in page does not show. So it's on your website settings selling, and you just scroll down to where it says opt-in page, left click to bring up your drop down menu, and you probably have default or you'll have disable. These are all custom opt-in pages that I created. So yours is going to say default or disable, and just set it to default. Once you set it to default and you come down and update your site, you will then see that on your menu. Okay, hope that's clear for you. I'm going to set mine back to custom opt-in 1. All right, good question. Good question there. We we did have another question regarding that came in from Jill. A very good question. I think that a lot of you that are even doing deals now, and you want to use Investment Dominator to get certain data in that maybe we don't have a field for in the import. Now, again, this is when you're importing data into Investment Dominator on your .csv file, if you remember. So the question was how to incorporate, let's say, square footage, a square footage amount. And this is a very good question because I actually worked this out with Jill online as we were determining what she was trying to do here. So how do you incorporate square footage in the import of data? And so this could be true, and this would be good. It would serve all of you or many of you who want to get data in, but we currently do not have a field defined for that data. So again, I come up under help. I'm going to do search my user guide, and I'm just going to come up with import. I'm going to show you how we would actually look for the fields that can be imported. So how to import your list for land vesting. You remember there's a video over here. We're going to look at the actual format. So you notice in our fields here under field name, none of our fields actually show anything to do with square footage. Okay, you can see that. None of the fields have anything to do with square footage. But now in Jill's case, she actually has I don't know if she's getting the information from her real estate agent she's working with or where she's getting the actual square footage field, but she basically wants to put in square footage amounts if it's less than an acre. All right, so anything that's less than an acre, she wants to be able to put in the square footage amount. And some of you may want to do the same thing so that your customers know exactly how many square feet that property is. We know that it's 43,500 square feet in an acre, 43,500. But if you're less than an acre, it may be 22,000. And rather than just putting half acre, she wants to actually put the square footage. So my suggestion was that within our import, you see we have a short legal description field here. Now, if you're not populating that on your import, you could use this short legal description field. And let me show you what that would look like in an actual import. If I could find one here, let's see. I'll open this Excel file here and show you what it might look like. So this is an example of an import field that has all of your required fields that you would import. If you notice, what I would do, I would add a short legal description column. And in that short legal description, I would put the square footage, all right? And just put the actual number. So this one is 11,000, this one's 13,000. If you know the square footage, and somehow she's getting all of these square footage amounts. So if you have that information and you want to import it, create yourself another field, short legal description. What that's going to do now, this is a little bit of work on the back end because we don't have a field that says short legal description. We don't have a field that says square footage. So when you bring that in, it's going to import as prospects, as normal. It's just that within the record, each record, in the short legal here, in this field, you'll actually show whatever square footage it is. It could be 12,342, whatever. And obviously, you'd have to take this amount now and put it in this square footage field here. So that's how, it's pretty close. So you just have to take this and then copy it into that, because that would be the square footage of the property, because it'd be less than an acre. I normally don't do it like that. I would just personally, I would tell them, hey, it's 0.28 acres, because that actually, with this square footage, that's what it calculates. It comes out to be 0.28 acres. But if you want to show the square footage, that's pretty cool. Investment Dominator calculates that for you, what percentage of an acre it is. You can do it this way, and please don't forget to update your record. So you always have that amount there. Okay. 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 Very good. All right. Okay. Just I'm gonna go back real quick for Don there, and Don, I think you were talking about how I got into it with regards to the selling. So I went in, I selected customize. I think, Don, what you're asking is how I got into the selling site, and I changed the opt-in field. And okay, I think you got it. Okay, good, Don. I just wanted to make sure. Yes, good. Thank you. Glad that you understand that. Okay, I tell you, you guys are bringing them in today. That's good. Good questions. All right, let's keep moving along here. So we got Jill's question answered. I tell you, this is probably the most we've had on the calls here in the last several weeks. So this is a record evening here. Glad that you all are here. Let's before I get into that one, bring my list. Okay, Bill has a question here. I'm gonna see if I can understand and get Bill's question. So on my list, I have sometimes two owners. When preparing my list, where would I put the second owner, or should I take it out? Um, no, you should not. You should not take out your second owner, Bill. As a matter of fact, and that's a good question, because it can be a little confusing around. Again, I'll go back to search our user guides and hit import. So let's see, how do you import your land vesting? So Bill, and your question is around second owner. Second owner information being imported. And should you take it out? No, you should not. You should not take out that information. As a matter of fact, if you can verify it in the county. So you want to keep it in your import as much as possible. Usually this first name ends up being the one of the owners. Okay. And if you do have a second owner, we do have a field that's already defined, and you have to type out the label just like this: second owner's first name, second owner's last name. A lot of times in the county records, what I'm seeing is for first name, if there's a wife or even another partner that has ownership in the property, instead of it just being one name, it might be Don and Julie Swenson, Swenson last name. And you'll see the first name field typically might have both of the individuals' names. But if that's not the case, and you do actually have a second owner, a lot of times second owner doesn't have to be a family member. It could be a second owner, could be a friend, or someone else. if you do have, go in and use the second owner's first name and the second owner's last name. And I'll explain to you why that's very important. Should you get back a requirement or a request from a prospect record now, and when that comes back for you to do, they say, I want an offer, or we want an offer on our property. It gets put in pending preliminary research status. Okay, you want to show both offers like this, Andrew and Linda Simpson. So that's an example of how it needs to come back. And the county, um, the county actually has it listed probably as, the actual legal owners of this property, Andrew and Linda. Okay, just you want to verify that with the county so that, and all this is very important, because should you do a deal on this where someone actually wants to purchase this property after it goes from pending preliminary, you give them an offer, they now come back and say, I accept your offer. Remember, we're going to move it now to complete, ready to sell. So we're going to market that property. You want the correct owners at this stage. You definitely want to know who the owners of that property are, because when you get ready to fill out the warranty deed, when you get ready to go in the county and find the warranty deed that's already on record, you want to make sure you see both of those owners, and you want to know who those owners are. So from the get-go, it would be my advice to you to include that second owner information so that it's automatically in your records all the way through the deal flow. And when it gets time to actually do the warranty deed, that's not information that you have to look up. Also, that's very important, because if one of the owners of the property are deceased, you want to know if there's anybody out there that has legal right to that property, and that can hang you up. Finding all these people that the second owner has, who may be deceased, but now that property now can fall into the hands of one of their heirs. So um, you want to make sure that the owners, that you know who the owners are on those records. And let's see. Yeah, that's very good. Scott is sharing, said we always look at the original deed to see, one, the correct owners, and two, the exact legal description of the property. Yes. Yeah. The owners' names are usually in one cell on the county data list, and out, and in order to separate those those owners. Now, it's not necessary, Bill, to separate them, but if they are in one cell, you have to, via Excel, you can go in before you import the data, and you could put them into the second owner, category. That's manipulating, that's using Excel in a way that you may or may not know how to do it. So let me write down that one from Bill, how to separate owners in county, or from the county records, I should say. All right, that's learning how to manipulate Excel if you're going to import them separately as separate owners. And I'm not going to go into that on this call, because that's it's a little involved. It requires some formulas, and a lot of folks don't get that much into Excel. But the simple way to do it is just go on and import it. Let it import the data that you have in those one cells. When you have them in there, it's easy for you then to know who the owners are. And when it comes down to actually selling the property, that's where that information really becomes extremely important, who the exact owners are. So, okay. So another question around this one is, what about owners where there are three or more? Good question. Because a lot of times we don't, you can import these records with the first and the last, they have a second owners. Um, Very seldom have I seen three or more, but if I did, I would go on and put them, I'd put them in an Investment Dominator, make sure in the second owner's, first name, um, I would put the first and last name of one owner and the first and last name of the second owner in one field so that at least I have some record of them. Or I would come down to my admin. Okay, remember, you can have a private note here in your admin, and you'll say add note, and you can say, this parcel has three owners, and, list them, just list them, John, Henry, whatever, whoever they are. Okay, just list the owners right here in your notes. Now remember, these are private notes, right? I would use, that's how I would let you know, or let the system know that, I verified in the county, and you can just in the end put, you know, verified with county. So these are notes that you'd have to look at, and when you add that note, all right, it's going to be there, but it's going to be a private note. So obviously, before you market this property, or before and you sell this property, and after you've sold this property, you find a buyer, you want to make sure you check any notes that you put in. And this has just got to be a part of your business process. It's not something Investment Dominator is going to police for you. Investment Dominator is not going to ensure that you look at any information that you put in privately. But if you don't want to confuse it with the, since you have an owner's second name, um, but you have a third owner, you want to make sure you put it somewhere in this record where you can keep track of that. Because trust me, when you get ready to sell that property, oh, who the owners are and who has legal right to that property seriously comes into play in a big way. And the last thing you want is a buyer to have purchased property, and then you find out, comes out of the woodwork, you can't get clear title because there's heirs out there that you had no idea, because there's a third owner who has a son that is really not interested in selling the property, and it'll can have your whole deal go south. So you want to know exactly who the legal owners are at all times. Okay, hope that's helpful for you guys. I have time for one more. I tell you guys have been seriously coming in with the questions today, and I really appreciate that. Very good. We had another question from Jill, which I thought was very interesting. She has personal contacts, and each of her contacts owns a parcel of land. I don't know where she finds these people. And they want an offer. So what Jill had to do, okay, so basically, she has a list of contacts that she wants to bring into Investment Dominator. She wants to import a list of contacts, and rather than when you import a list of contacts, or you import a list, period, Investment Dominator assumes that they're going to be prospect status. So She wants them to come into Investment Dominator. She wants them to have a unique identifier, but she doesn't want them to be prospects. She actually wants to be able to send out offers to these people. So she wants them in pending preliminary research. So how would we do this? And it's really not as complicated. We worked this out as I was online with her. It's really pretty simple. You would still go on and import those records just like you would you would choose a file here, and then you would import, upload the list, import those records. Now, when they get into Investment Dominator, Investment Dominator is going to have classified them as prospects. So let's just say this first page were her contacts. We just imported them. And so what I shared with her to do, we have numbers 262 through 282. So what I suggested that she do is search her records, get a property ID range of 262 through 282. You do a search, you bring back those records in your search criteria. And simply, now remember, you can do a select all, which is going to select all the records from your last search criteria. And then simply go in and say, change the status, move these 10 records from prospect to pending preliminary research automatically. So when she confirms this move, I'm not going to do it here, but when we confirm this move, all of these records now that are in this search will no longer be prospect. They will be pending preliminary research. She will then have to come in and do her analysis just like she would have to do. I'm just going to clear this search. Okay. She would then have to come in, do her analysis on all of these records that are in pending preliminary research and determine what the county assessed value is, what her market value is, and finally, what her offer. Did I go past it yet? Must have gone past it. Yeah, what her offer amount is going to be, right? Obviously, once you put in your county assessed and your market value, then you're ready to actually make an offer. So that's the best way I could tell anyone, if you want to bring in any list into Investment Dominator, just go ahead and import it as normal using your import feature up here. Select, choose your list, upload the list. When it comes in as a prospect, select all those records that came in and simply go over here and change your status to whatever appropriate status that you need. Okay. So that hopefully gives you a little idea. Investment Dominator is very powerful. There's so many things we can do with it. We haven't even really scratched the surface for all of you that are brand new. We're just giving you the basics of this particular powerful CRM. I cannot imagine doing this business apart from Investment Dominator. Want you all to be encouraged and keep working at it. Any questions I didn't get, I'm going to go back through all of these comments and questions for today. I will look to get them on Thursday. We'll be here again 12 noon Pacific time and 3 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, I want to leave you with this thought for this evening. The real test is not whether you avoid any failure, because you won't. It's whether you let it harden or shame you into inaction, or whether you learn from it, whether you choose to persevere. And that was a quote from our former President Barack Obama. The real test is not whether you avoid any failure, because you won't. It's whether you let it harden or shame you into inaction, or whether you learn from it and whether you choose to persevere. I want you all to continue to persevere. I appreciate you all being on the call, appreciate all of your questions, and keep on doing this business, because I'm telling you, this business will pay off. We had no former training in real estate, and my wife and I have learned this business, and we love it, and it's really changed our life. So be encouraged. Have a great evening. You all are so welcome. I really appreciate you all being here. We will look forward to talking with you again on Thursday. Have a great week. Bye now.